This is Dr. Rob Wildman, and it is my absolute pleasure to be with you for the International Society of Sport Nutrition China event. My topic is how to create the most scientific pre-workout formulation. Here we go. But before we begin, I want to give you a little bit of my background. I have a PhD from The Ohio State University. I'm a registered and licensed dietitian, and I am CISSN. I have written 4 books, including The Nutritionist, Food, Nutrition, and Optimal Health, as well as Sport and Fitness Nutrition, Handbook of Nutraceuticals and Functional Foods, and Advanced Human Nutrition. I've spearheaded the development of a global sport nutrition brand called Time Athletic Performance, and I am the creator of the nutritiondoctor.com, as well as the founder of the International Protein Board. Certainly, there are several things that you need to pay attention to in order to get the most out of your workouts. Number one is you do have to understand the relationship between training and nutrition. Training creates the stimulus for the muscle and the body to change, and nutrition will nourish the process of change. Muscle has to be nourished as many hours throughout the day as possible. So you should always be thinking a 24/7 scenario as far as nourishing your muscle in order for it to adapt most efficiently. Protein is the most important nutrient when it comes to building muscle strength, and muscle size. You can't do it without extra protein in your diet. And pre-workout, and that's our topic here today, pre-workout is incredibly important because it is the workout that creates the stimulus on the muscle that allows it to adapt in a manner in which it's trained. If you train the muscle to become stronger and more powerful, it will adapt to become stronger and more powerful. How great your workouts are going to have a big impact on how quickly your muscle and your body adapts to your training. So we're going to go into detail about pre-workouts and the nutrients that have helped people get the best workouts possible, and then what are the most important things to consider when you evaluate different pre-workouts in the marketplace. So as I just said, great fitness and performance changes are the result of small, acute daily modifications that result from great training sessions. And then sequential sessions over time lead to big adaptations. And I can't stress this point enough. Exercise creates the stimulus for physical and performance changes, and then nutrition enables and optimizes the change. It's a marriage. They go hand in hand. Neither is more important than the other. And for us to get into debates about is it 80-20, 90-10, exercise or diet is futile. It doesn't really matter. You can't optimize your body and get the best out of your training over time without focusing on your training sessions as well as focusing on your nutrition. We're going to go deeper into pre-workouts now. So the concept of a pre-workout is pretty simple. If you train hard, you can get results over time. But the question is, are there certain nutrients that will help you train even harder or increase your training volume, which can lead to even bigger changes over time? That's the basis of pre-workout. Are there nutrients that help you train harder and get more training volume in each session or over time that allow the possibility for bigger results to happen over time? And another really important point that I always like to point out is if you go to the gym and you train hard, you don't walk out of the gym with results. Okay, you don't walk out of the gym stronger. Okay, these changes take place after the workout is over and the muscle begins the adaptation and remodeling process. This can take place for 1 and even 2 days, and we can measure it by changes in metabolism over that 2-day period. Classic work by Hackney and others have shown elevations in resting metabolic rate occurring 1 and 2 days after the result of a hard training session. So this is when the change really starts. When you come out of the gym and then over time. That's post-workout nutrition is really important. Pre-workout nutrition is really important to help you optimize that training session. So your workout can happen pretty much any time during the day. It can happen early, during the middle part of the day, or even later into the evening. And that can drive some of the considerations for which nutrients you want in your pre-workout and at what levels. Other considerations certainly will include what benefits are you wanting out of your pre-workout? Are you wanting it to enhance the cognitive effects during the pre-workout, your alertness, your energy level? Are you wanting more circulation, more pump? Are you wanting to feel more intense and stronger? These are some of the considerations for benefits for pre-workouts, and it drives the formulations that people like myself will create. And one of the most important concepts is going to be that you should do your homework. You should research and see what research has been done in order to understand formulations for pre-workouts. Luckily, the International Society of Sport Nutrition has done some of the heavy lifting for you. And in our supplement review, which comes out every few years, we overview a lot of these ingredients that you'll find in pre-workouts. And no discussion of pre-workout formulations begins without identifying the king, which is caffeine. Caffeine at levels of 3 to 6 milligrams per kilogram body weight has been shown to be efficacious in helping athletic performance in numerous studies. However, once you go up to about 9 milligrams per kilogram body weight, then the benefits begin to have a waning effect and potentially an opposite effect. So somewhere around 200 milligrams of caffeine, you get a cognitive benefit, alertness, okay, anti-fatigue, if you will, focus, concentration, intensity. Then when you get up over 300 to 400 milligrams, research suggests that there may be a potential for an enhancement in strength during workout. However, it's important to really understand that you habitualize or you become acclimated to caffeine, especially in the central nervous system. So that's an important consideration. The other important consideration is that not everybody responds the same way to caffeine. For some people, caffeine has a negative impact at some of the levels that we talked about being beneficial for other people. These are all important considerations, but again, no conversation around proven, evidence-based, efficacious ingredients for pre-workouts begins with any other nutrient before caffeine. Another very interesting pre-workout ingredient is citrulline. Now, citrulline is an amino acid, but it's not a building block amino acid for making protein. It's an amino acid that has roles outside of protein. For instance, citrulline can be converted to arginine converted to nitric oxide, which helps circulation, vasodilation, and can be helpful during recovery periods in between bouts of exercise, such as weight training, in between sets, in between repeated sprints. So when research for citrulline dosage levels above 4 grams taken before exercise has yielded some interesting findings. For instance, it can increase the number of repetitions that one gets as they go through numerous sets. So maybe by the time you get to your third or fourth set, you may get an extra rep on the bench press or the leg press. This is important because it enhances total workout volume over time. And continuing with our thinking on nitric oxide being a benefit during exercise and recovery in between high intensity bouts, arginine is a precursor for nitric oxide, but free arginine in supplement form is rapidly broken down by arginase enzymes. Nitrosogene is more stable in that it's combined with other nutrients, and it's research proven to have greater bioavailability and better nitric oxide production, as well as cognitive support during exercise. So here again is a evidence-based, arginine-based compound that can enhance the cognitive effects of exercise as well as the performance aspects of exercise. Next, there's beta-alanine. And beta-alanine, like citrulline, is a amino acid, but it's a non-proteogenic amino acid like citrulline. It's not a building block for protein. But what beta-alanine will do is it will get into the muscle and it's converted to carnosine. And carnosine is a fantastic buffer which really helps gobble up some of the acid that's produced in the muscle during high intensity extended bouts such as running for more than 60 to 90 seconds. So it doesn't really have an acute performance effect, meaning that it can't be part of a pre-workout and benefit the buffering systems within the muscle immediately during that workout. But beta-alanine is experiential. It causes a sensation of tingling, which is referred to as paresthesia. So you find it in gram levels in pre-workouts, usually at greater than 1.2 grams up to 1.8 grams, 2.5, 2.6, 3.2. And it causes that tingling sensation that a lot of people like while they exercise because it just makes them feel in the moment and makes it more experiential. So that's why you find beta-alanine in a lot of pre-workout products. Another nutrient that you often find in pre-workouts is creatine. And creatine is necessary, supplemented at gram levels, usually greater than 3 grams, 3 to 5 to 6 grams per day. Creatine in a pre-workout will not have an immediate effect on that high intensity energy systems that we want creatine to do so desperately. However, a lot of times you find it in a pre-workout to help with compliance, meaning that if it's in the pre-workout, then we're guaranteeing that we're supplementing creatine that day. And creatine is what I like to refer to as an investment nutrient. Each day that you supplement with creatine, more and more of the creatine forms in the muscle as creatine phosphate until you saturate the muscle. It happens over time, just like adding $1 to your bank account every day. Over time, you reach a point where it's at a happy point. One more consideration that I always like to throw out there is protein itself. We like to think about protein for building muscle and getting higher protein intakes over the course of the day. But what if you have protein before you exercise? Are there some benefits to it? And the answer is yes, there are. Number one, some research, especially out of the University of North Carolina and Dr. Abby Smith, her and her team showed that when women supplemented with whey protein, they got metabolic benefits. Their metabolism was elevated during and after exercise. Plus, after exercise, some 30 minutes later, they were burning more fuel as fat. So there is some metabolic benefit to it. So if you're not nourished with protein for several hours before you train, you can go ahead and have your protein. It can even provide some metabolic benefits during and immediately after. And one other point that I'd like to make is the phenomena of fasted cardio, the idea of not eating for several hours, maybe after the overnight fast, and then you get up and then you exercise, do low to moderate intensity cardiovascular exercise to try to burn more fat. Well, our team and others have shown that if you have protein before what is known as fasted cardio, it doesn't disrupt the breakdown of body fat and the use of fat as a fuel source during the exercise. So there's really no reason not to have protein before an exercise session if you haven't had protein at a meal within a couple of hours prior. So when you summarize the different amino acids and amino acid derivatives such as creatine on potential benefit if they're part of pre-workout, we covered several of them and I want to cover a couple more. One would be branched chain amino acids and essential amino acids. If you haven't eaten protein for a couple of hours prior, you may benefit by having some branched chain amino acids or essential amino acids as part of a workout, a pre-workout or a during workout formulation. Also, there's some good research support for people who are training harder or just starting, and if they supplement with gram levels of branched chain amino acids, say more than 5 to 7 grams, immediately and during their training session, it can help with soreness for a couple of days after. And that's really important because usually you're going to come back and you're going to retrain that muscle within 48 to 72 hours. And if there's not soreness there or the soreness has been minimized, that can really help you have your next great workout. So we're going to wrap it up right there. There's so many things to consider when you think about your pre-workout formulation and what's right for you. First, it's when do you work out? Okay, so is it before bed? Is it first thing in the morning? How well are you nourished? And how are you nourished prior to that? Okay, that can make a big difference as to what you kind of want in your pre-workout formulation. Also, what are you looking for? What benefits? Do you want cognition, alertness, focus, to dial in? Do you want intensity? Do you want pump, circulation? Do you want strength? All these things are really important when you consider which nutrients you want in your pre-workout and what level. And then again, how do you know? Well, you have to be a scientist, or you have to lean into organizations like the International Society of Sport Nutrition, who's done a lot of the research for you. Okay, the membership of the International Society of Sport Nutrition is actively involved in the research. Plus, they do annual and semi-annual reviews of supplements and nourishing factors to give you the best information as to what to take before, during, after, and throughout the day for people who train hard. This is Dr. Rob Wildman, and I look forward to seeing you in China in the months ahead as things lighten up. But it's been my absolute pleasure to be with you today for the ISSN China event. Look for me. I am on WeChat at Dr. Rob Wildman, so look for me there. Look for Time Athletic Performance, which is coming to China very, very soon. And I can't wait to be with you in person in the near future.